What's going on, guys? Welcome back to We Want Picks. My name is Jacob, aka the Freckled Salamander, here to bring you my quick pick video for UFC Louisville. But before we get into this week's video, what's going on, Connor? What are we doing? Yesterday, the press conference gets suspended, gets canceled. This morning, I'm waking up to seeing the UFC is pulling videos, pulling promos. You can't pre-order the pay-per-view anymore. Michael Chandler's tweeting cryptic bullshit. What are we doing, sweetheart? I spent so much money on these tickets. 303 VIP tickets to go to Vegas in 3 weeks to go to this fight. Connor, say it ain't so, man. Say it ain't so. If you want to support the channel and everything that we do, Angelo, me, everybody involved, go to WeWantPicks.com. Consider becoming a premium member today. It's only $10 a month, and I just blew so much money to go see Conor McGregor in Vegas, and it's not gonna happen. He's not gonna fight. My prediction is they give Max Holloway a call, pick him up, offer him $10 million, and say, put your BMF title up, fight Chandler, and then you can fight Conor at the Sphere in September. Who knows what's gonna happen? This is a rolling situation. It is Tuesday right now, and we'll see how this plays out. But premium membership, WeWantPicks.com, $10 a month. Sign up today, gets a whole bunch of stuff. Redid the website, by the way. It's beautiful. Let's get into this breakdown, man. First up, we've got Ryan Amanda. I think it's Ryan dos Santos, Ryan Amanda. A lot of last names with these Brazilians sometimes. And Puja Tomar. I'll tell you what, when I watch this girl Tomar, apologize for the pronunciation, she to me looks like a crossbreed. It's funny that I'm about to say this because they just fought each other, but almost a crossbreed of like a Tabitha Ricci and a Tecia Torres. Tecia Torres, a tiny tornado. This girl is like, I think called a cyclone, something like that. She is a tenacious girl, very undersized, right? I think like 5 foot flat, right? So I'm about 1.5 foot taller than this girl. Little undersized, but she will just kind of storm forward with a blitz full of attacks. Not great, right? I mean, she's not great technically. She really has no ground game at all. And if you look at her record, anybody that's within any type of skill set has beat her. She actually fought Stamp and won and got absolutely smoked. Ryan Amanda dos Santos should be able to withstand whatever she brings early and handle herself. I imagine she's going to want to get this fight to the ground. Just withstand. You don't have to worry about the blitzes and stuff like that. Let's get the fight to the ground. She got a bunch of submissions. That's how she probably is the easiest path to victory for Ryan in this fight. I do worry a little bit because in her last fight, which I picked against her in her last fight, a weird decision, but she really wasn't kind of doing enough to really show that she was winning those rounds. In this fight, it's a little bit lower level of overall competition. She doesn't have to worry about the takedowns and stuff like that, which she was in her last fight. I think Ryan should roll in this, get it to the ground, dominate, but even on the feet, she's going to be the much more technical, cleaner striker. I know this girl, Puja, is a attractive girl. She's going to come in tenacious, might blow her load early, then get tired, but I think Ryan's going to handle it and win this fight by submission. Next, Cody Stamann, Taylor Lopez. I like Taylor Lopez. Taylor Lopez is the better fighter in this fight. He's a great dynamic striker. One of those French fighters, but a little bit more, I would say, tenacious than like a William Gomes or something like that. Really good takedown defense. Even against Farid, you saw he was getting taken down, but he was defending a lot. I think he defended off the top of my head, 11 takedowns. He's about 4 for 16, 12, something like that. So I'm not really worried too much about the takedowns of Cody Stamann. I am going to pick Taylor because he is the more well-rounded, very good fighter. But I think this one could be close. This one could be, there's always that minus 250, minus 300 favorite where you're like, oh, God, you have him in the parlay. Every single time you have a 3 or 4 leg parlay, there's always that one leg that either misses or almost misses. I think this one could be the one that almost misses because Cody is a guy that can mix in takedowns. I don't think he's going to be able to take Taylor down, but at least change that eye level for the judge if he's able to get a takedown, steal something. But his movement and his boxing is pretty slick. I think the striking is pretty even, and if he starts mixing in a takedown or two, I think that Cody could steal a round. I don't think he's going to be able to steal two. Taylor's a very good fighter, but I think this could be a closer fight than people think. I am going to pick Taylor. I think that he is going to win this. If he loses this, it's going to be very surprising to me. But I could see this being one of those situations where it's like 29-28, 29-28, 29-28 across the board. And maybe the judges see like round 1 for Cody and then round 3 and then round 2 for a little bit mixture there, if you know what I'm saying. But my pick is going to be Taylor. This one could be an interesting decision, to say the least, in my mind. Moving on to the next one. Eduardo Mora versus my girl, Denise Gomes. Denise Gomes, former lock of the week. I think her 2 or 3 fights ago, something like that. Listen, Eduardo Mora is a good fighter. She's a little bit of a bully. And if you look at some of these girls she's been fighting, a little bit undersized, a little bit smaller, that she can kind of muscle to the ground and really maul them on the ground. Denise Gomes, although a little bit shorter, she's not going to get muscled. You know, she is not going to get muscle to the ground. She knows what she's doing on the ground. And on the feet, Eduardo Mora is a girl that gets a little bit reckless. I don't really like her stand-up game. Chin a little bit high, a little bit kind of, raises that chin, kind of exits, exchanges, kind of that chin up. And those are the girls that Denise finds with that big right hand. Denise is, I don't want to say a one-trick pony. She showed almost an armbar versus Angela Hill. She lost to Angela Hill, but Angela Hill is like, man, that's a tough chick that pulled out. She's a smart girl. She's a durable girl. Denise Gomes knows what she's doing on the ground. Kind of a one-trick pony with that right hand, but it's so good typically, especially against people that can get hit. And I think Eduardo is going to get hit. I don't see her being able to outmuscle Denise like she has her previous opponents. And if Denise can especially get out of this first round, Eduardo in her last fight got out of the first round, and she pretty much dominated that first round. But you saw the start of the second round, she was kind of like trying to really kind of control her breathing. If she starts getting a situation where she cannot get Denise on the ground and on top of her and controlling her the entire time, or finding a finish early in that first round, I think my God, Denise's going to take over this fight and really find a shot in the second, maybe a late second, third round finish. I'm going with the dog here. Denise Gomes, former lock of the week, by the way, and she is an underdog again against Eduardo. I just don't think Mora's going to be able to bully her like she has girls in the past. And if you can't bully her, I think she's going to get put out. Next, Daniel Marcos versus another former lock of the week, John Sexy Mexi Castañeda. This one's going to be a good fight. This should be a back and forth fight, and it's going to be the takedowns of John Sexy Mexi, as you've seen in fights in the past, that should, in my mind, win him this fight. I am going to go Sexy Mexi here with a little bit of an upset. These odds have kind of been back and forth. It's basically a pick-em, but he went to a slight favorite, then a slight dog. It's basically a pick-em at this point. Listen, Daniel Marcos is a good striker. He's a very high-level striker, but that's about all he does. He's not the most dangerous guy in the world. John Sexy Mexi Castañeda is a durable guy. I think he can strike with almost anybody in this division, right? He works the body, works head, good pressure, can take a shot as well. But it's also the fact that he has this really good wrestling that he doesn't need to get desperate with. He can go with the striking and almost kind of lull you to sleep. And yeah, we're back and forth and you're pressuring me and against the fence. And then boom, there's that level change, that deep cut in the edge on the corner. He's getting on top of you. Not great control once he's on top, but in 135 when the striking is even, if you can get a takedown each round, I think he can pull this fight out. When it's probably going to be a decision fight. Marcos is a durable guy too. Undefeated guys. We'll see how Marcos looks on his back. I do believe that he's going to be on his back a couple times in this fight. That's why I got to go with my guy, John Sexy Mexi Castañeda. I wish he was a little bit bigger dog. Yeah, plus 120, plus 130. We might have a video tomorrow. Next, Andrea Lee versus Montana Dela Rosa. Montana, why didn't you wrestle your last fight? What were we doing? You're a wrestler. You decided. I understand if you're coming into a fight with a game plan, but if that game plan isn't working, which it wasn't working versus JJ, you got to go back to what you know, the bread and butter. You got to turn that butter, sweetheart. You got to wrestle. And in this fight, you got to wrestle. Andrea Lee's a girl that can get taken down. Both these girls, by the way, are better than their record shows. 13-9, 12-9. If you look at the people they've been losing to, are pretty good people. So a lot of these losses are like, yeah, they lost, but these are high-level competition type of people. Andrea Lee should have the striking advantage. And I don't know if Montana Dela Rosa is going to wrestle. And even if she does wrestle, I don't know if she's going to keep control of Andrea Lee. Andrea Lee is, I think she is the better, this is going to be a weird way to phrase this. Her 13-9 is better than Montana Dela Rosa's 12-9, if that makes sense. I think she's a little bit higher level fighter, especially on the feet. We'll see if Montana goes back to the kind of that all-in wrestling game plan. This is a tough fight, a close fight. I understand Andrea Lee being the favorite, and I am going to take Andrea Lee, but obviously when you're looking at these girls and the trials and tribulations that they've had in the past few fights, it's hard to pick either one of them, but this could be a sneaky play for Andrea Lee. I just think she's a little bit more well-rounded than Montana, and sometimes she can get a little bit nastier as well. So I'm going to Andrea Lee here. I don't love it. We'll go on to the next one. Katona versus Jesse Butler. Hey, guys, can somebody explain to me how this guy's going to make 135? This guy, Jesse Butler, who's been fighting at 155, he's fought all the way to 170. 170 minus 135 is 7-0. They turn that to a 10, 5. Turn this one 7 into a 6, 30. That's a 35-pound difference. That's a 35-pound difference for where he's fought the weight. I don't know how he's going to make the weight. Even if he makes the weight, I think he's one of these guys, and no disrespect to him, because good for him for making it here. I think he's one of those guys that has found his way into the UFC. Probably not a UFC level guy, right? A little bit of a dangerous fight here, though, because if he does make the weight, he's going to be a big dude in there. And Katona isn't really a finisher. He's not really these finishing type of guys, and I know Katona well because he lost against my lock of the week, Garrett Armfield, earlier this year. But he's a pretty high-level guy. That was a close fight, back and forth. I don't know what Jesse's going to do. He doesn't really have any power in his hands, and I don't know if he's going to be able to drag this fight to the ground where he wants it to be. He's probably not a UFC-level guy. He's a big dog here. I have to go with Katona. He's just very solid. He seems like he's very solid. Radtke versus Carlos Prates. And it's always dangerous when you're standing in front of a 6'2" guy with a Muay Thai tattoo across his chest. It's always going to be dangerous. And what I say, if you go listen to our breakdowns with Trevin Giles and the Carlos fight, the last one, I said it's probably going to look like Trevin's going to be winning until he's not. And what happened? Trevin was looking good that first round, touch, got a little bit too overconfident, hands down a little bit, extended the combination a little bit too much. Boop. That's the type of power that Carlos possesses, right? He was getting touched up pretty well, and typically he finds those finishes early in fights, but he was able to find it in the second round because Trevin got a little bit too overzealous. And I got to hope that Charles Radtke, Chuck Buffalo, is going to come in with a game plan of, hey, let's just kind of slow this down. Just like we did with Blood Diamond. I know people were booing, but it showed that he's willing to do anything to win a fight. Let's just kind of hold this guy, right? You're a shorter dude, 5'9", 5'10", against a 6'2" Muay Thai guy. Let's get inside. Let's put him against the cage. Let's get the top of the head under the chin. Let's make this fight dirty. Let's wear this dude out, get to the second round, and then we can start throwing our combinations. I know that Charles Radtke came in his last fight and looked good, right, against Urbina. Pop that jab out. Pop. Got the jab going and then followed it up with a combination. Well, guess what? This is a southpaw. You're not going to be able to pump that jab out like you were against a conventional fighter. It's just not going to be there. You're going to be staggered stances. So you got to find something different. And I think it's going to be the clinch. I think it could be the grappling, the wrestling. I know Charlie has been with Bilal. I don't know if Bilal's still in his corner or not because Bilal's been doing the Islam thing, but that was his coach, is Bilal. There's got to be some wrestling there. I know he's had some takedowns before in the past. I want to see a nice grinding game plan, especially in the first round for Charlie, and then get to the second. We can start striking a little bit more, wear this big guy down. I don't think that Carlos is anything crazy dynamic with this striking. I don't think he's anything crazy with his speed or anything like that, but he does possess that one-hitter quitter power. Charles has got to be observant of that. Everyone is very well aware. He seems like he's a dog. He is going to be my pick, Chuck Buffalo, but I'm going to be worried about it. We'll move on to the next one. Thiago Moises versus Ludwig Klein. Ludwig Klein, the greatest lock. A lot of lock of the weeks on the score. Former lock of the weeks, everything. The greatest lock of the week of all time. People ask me, statistically, stat-wise, odds-wise, is Ludwig Klein plus 375 against Mason Jones. Everyone's like, oh my God, Ludwig Klein sucks. Why would you pick him against Mason Jones? Fucking smoke the kid. Ludwig Klein's a very high-level striker that now all of a sudden is also this high-level wrestler and high-level grappler. You'd love to see it. I believe in my heart of hearts that he's going to have a major striking advantage in this fight. Do I worry about the calf kicks? I worry about the calf kicks. If you watch Thiago's last fight, ate him up with the leg kicks. If you watch Ludwig Klein's last fight, eats those leg kicks a little bit. Again, the stance switch is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be not the outside. It's going to be the inside. But Ludwig Klein is going to have the striking advantage. He's got the speed. He does get hit a lot, but he seems to eat those shots fine. It's going to be whether Thiago is going to be able to get the back of Ludwig Klein. And I think there's a big opportunity here for Ludwig Klein to really fucking shine in this fight. Because Thiago is not, he's a tough dude, but he's not anything special on the feet. And if he starts getting desperate, especially early with those takedowns, I don't want Ludwig to try to out-wrestle him. And that's what I worry about a little bit. Because Ludwig's been bringing in this wrestling, grappling game plan a little bit more. He's comfortable down there. But when you give these guys a chance, these grapplers a chance at what they're doing best, to find a sweep, to find a reversal, to get your back, why would you do it? Let's stay on the feet as long as you can. Keep this fight standing if you run into issues, whatever it is. But if Thiago is diving at your legs, do not try to reverse sweep, get on his back, whatever. Let's keep it standing. Let's work the feet. Ludwig Klein is going to be my pick because I believe he has a crazy striking advantage with the speed, with the power. I just worry about him trying to out-grapple a guy like Thiago. I guess I keep saying Thiago. But I got to go Ludwig Klein here. Let's move on to the next one. Punahele Soriano versus Miguel Baeza. Listen, Miguel is, this guy's a freak athlete. This guy is good. He's got grappling. He's got speed. He's got power. What he doesn't have is the ability to stay out of the pocket and the ability to stay away from those big shots. Now, is Punahele the guy to have the power with the speed to knock out a guy like Miguel Baeza? Probably not. But Miguel Baeza coming off a 2-year layoff, and I'm looking at his Instagram. He was at MMA Masters. I think he's still got the same coach or something, but I'm looking at the Instagram. He doesn't update it very often. And just because you're not updating the Instagram doesn't mean you're not working hard. But I'm watching this guy in like an empty garage hitting mitts with a guy, and there's no sparring. It's just him hitting mitts. Right? He did a grappling competition a little bit ago, but it's like, what are we doing? Where's the training, Miguel? I'd be honest with you guys. I loaded up on a bet on Miguel. I'm like, oh my God, this kid is dynamic. He's got striking. He's got grappling. He's got really clean boxing. When he goes, you can see how fast and powerful he is against Puna, who was supposed to smoke Dustin Stoltzfus, came in, laid an egg, looked slow, looked like he was done. He's lost 5 of his last 6, something like that. I was going to load the boat on Miguel. Then I started watching fights again. I started looking at Instagram. I'm like, man, he is going to be my pick because he is head and shoulders more athletic than probably almost anybody's going to fight at 170. This kid's going to be a problem or could be a problem. He's just not active. I'm looking at the training. I'm not seeing active sparring. His chin has already been a question. So why I think he should win, and I have bet him in a different way, WeWantPicks.com, I do worry a little bit. There are some question marks. It would be very Punahele Soriano to come in, lose to Dustin Stoltzfus, and then be a 2-1 dog to this young kid and then knock him out. That would be the most Punahele thing ever. I'm going Miguel Baeza here. I'm putting my money where my mouth is slightly. Let's move on with the next one. Bruno Ferreira versus Dustin Stoltzfus. By the way, Dustin Stoltzfus, another lock of the week. This card is loaded with former lock of the weeks. When he was my lock of the week, that was his one win. In what, 4 or 5 UFC? I think he was 1-4 in the UFC. The one win as the lock of the week came in, surprised everyone against Punahele, we just talked about, and kind of smoked his ass. Listen, Bruno is a guy that has one punch power, as we've seen. He seems like he's got active grappling defense, which is what you definitely need against a guy like Dustin. And this should be, again, cut and dry. It should have been pretty cut and dry with Puna. right? But it should be pretty cut and dry here with the young Hulk, Bruno Ferreira. Just wait, land that shot. Dustin, I promise, is going to give you an opportunity. Let's defend the takedowns. Let's land that one shot and really test that chin again of Dustin Stoltzfus. But I'm telling you right now, if Bruno starts chasing the knockout instead of waiting for the knockout to come to him, he starts swinging wild. And honestly, it wouldn't surprise me at all if Dustin uses this kind of veteran savvy that he has now to weather the early storm and start taking over in that second, in that third round. So I am going to pick Bruno. But again, this is a little bit of like, is Dustin back? Is he not back? Is this the guy? He's always had good grappling, good wrestling. It's usually been decision making, but sometimes it clicks for these guys, especially when they kind of get that veteran, kind of everything kind of behind them. Now they're fighting a little bit more free. I'm going Bruno here. I think he should knock out Dustin. I don't think there's too much worry. But if this gets out of the first round into the second round and Dustin's still hanging around, hanging on the legs, then it might be time to worry. This could be a little bit of a live bet situation, but I'm going Bruno Ferreira. Let's move on to the next one. Raul Rosas Jr. versus Pretty Ricky Turcios, which is one of my favorite nicknames of all time. Pretty Ricky. By the way, Pretty Ricky Blue Stars. I've talked about this in the past. If you want to set the mood, set the tone for a date, maybe it's the third, fourth date, first time the girl comes over, you're really trying to lay down the pipe, I promise you, you light one candle, hopefully something cinnamon, apple, vanilla scented to really set the tone, right? Put that on the coffee table, flip on the TV or whatever it is, get to the streaming service, and then she's going to be like, what is that? What are you putting on? What you're going to put on is Pretty Ricky Blue Stars. And it's going to change your life. You don't have to pick a certain song. That thing's from front to back, and I pray to God that you can last an hour and 20, hour and 30 minutes. I know I can. Front to back, song after song. You're going to have the best night of your life. I promise you that. Pretty Ricky Blue Stars. And in this matchup, does Pretty Ricky have a chance? People are saying he does. I don't know if he does, man. He can get taken down. It feels to me like people are, and I do this a lot, right? I did it last week for a few fights where you're just trying to read too much into a fight. Well, yeah, he's got these scrambles, man. Right? He's got scrambles, and he's a durable guy, and he's a wild dude. He's unorthodox. He's a tough dude. And we saw Raul Rosas get tired versus C-Rod, and if he can't get the tan, you just read too far into it. Listen, Raul Rosas Jr., even against C-Rod, was still working his ass off. Was not getting finished in that fight. It was a learning experience. He blew his load, completely dominated C-Rod in that opening round, and then kind of got tired, but he never quit. The kid never quit. Right? He was still there. It was just against another very good grappler. Pretty Ricky is a guy that can get taken down. On the feet, he's not really a dangerous guy on the feet. A lot of times on the feet, he's doing nothing. He just standing there. He just do, I mean, he'll do vocal. He'll do, he's just doing nothing. Just sitting there, just, so even on the feet, I'm not worried about Raul Rosas. I think he's going to be able to get the takedowns. If he takes his time and doesn't really chase the finish in the first round and he's able to get a takedown in the second and third round, I think there's an opportunity for Raul Rosas to absolutely smoke this guy, and that's why he's going to be my pick. I bet Raul Rosas. I even took the -3.5. A little spoiler alert. Listen, this to me, I'm not going to overthink this. Raul is a very good grappler, can take down anybody in my mind, especially in this division. We'll see how long Raul Rosas can last in this division with his little adolescent body. Once it turns into a grown man body, I think he's probably going to be a 145er, eventually turn into a 155er. But the kid's good, man. He knows what he's supposed to do. He's going to get the takedowns. And I know that there could be some wild scrambles. But every day that passes, right? This fight was supposed to happen last fall. Every day that happens with Raul Rosas Jr., he's just going to get better, man. He's just going to get better. The kid's, 18, 19? How old is he now? 20? I don't even know how old he is anymore, but he's just going to get better. He's going to be my pick. I think he can dominate this fight, even though I do love Pretty Ricky. Reyes versus Dustin Jacoby. No, I'm just kidding. I don't think there's a former lock of the week here, but I did. No, I didn't pick. I don't think I picked Dominic Reyes versus John Jones. I picked Anthony Smith versus John Jones. By the way, I'd love to see that rematch. Anthony Smith would steamroll John Jones at this point. Lionheart is on a whole nother level. Listen, Dominic Reyes was, it seems at this point, a flash in the pan. Is that the analogy? Flash in the pan. A lightning in a bottle. Had just a few wins just to get to the title shot and then beats John Jones. Absolutely beat John Jones. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And then just kind of falling off a cliff. And it wouldn't be It would be amazing. A co-main event spot to come back, resurrect your career versus Dustin Jacoby and knock this dude out. He can get chin. And Dominic Reyes is a good fighter. It's not like Dominic Reyes isn't a good fighter. He just gets a little bit overzealous, extends a little bit too much, and his chin gets caught. And when your chin goes, a lot of times it just never comes back. No matter how much time you take off, no matter this or that, some people just don't have those chins. Like a guy like Phil Hawes. Phil Hawes has the talent to beat anybody in the world wrestling striking. Just no chin. There's just no chin. And when you don't have a chin against a high-level striker like Dustin Jacoby, you know, until I see that he can win a fight, I don't know how anybody can pick him to win a fight against these top light heavyweight guys. We'll see if he loses this one, if he's done, or if they give him kind of a toss-up. I'd like to see him in the mix of these of the light heavyweight rankings. He's a fun dude. He's an athletic dude. He's definitely a good fighter. It's not like he's giving up. He's not trying. He tries to out-tough these situations. It's just his chin, man. Dustin Jacoby is a high-level striker who should be able to find those spots. Against Alonzo Menafield, he was just touching that guy up whenever he wanted. I don't know how he lost that decision. I understand he got hurt a couple times, but I thought he won that fight. He should come in a little bit more motivated. Hopefully he doesn't get too overzealous, get chinned again. But if he just kind of stays in the zone, I think even those jabs will add up to really kind of hurt a guy like Dominic Reyes. And then he follows up with that right hand behind it. Dustin Jacoby's a high-level striker, and against a suspect chin, I don't know how I can pick against it. I am going Dustin Jacoby. Let's move on to the main event. Main event time. We got Jared Cannonier versus Nasruddin Imavov. And this breakdown, to me, isn't about X's, isn't about O's. Nasruddin Imavov is probably, you know, the more dynamic fighter, right? He's got the Russian wrestling. He showed off. He's got the good striking. It seems like he's kind of picked up the cardio and everything like that. This, to me, is, I understand this could be a changing of the guard situation. Jared Cannonier, 40 years old. Nasruddin Imavov, how old he is. Younger guy coming in, trying to take the spot at Jared Cannonier. My breakdown is very simple for this. You can agree or you can disagree. I don't really give a shit. Until I see somebody come in and beat Jared Cannonier over 5 rounds, I'm not going to bet against that, right? You saw Izzy do it, or a prime Robert Whittaker, and everybody else that has come in. Marvin Vettori I picked Marvin Vettori in that fight. First round, I'm like, oh my God. Finally, Jared Cannonier is falling off this 40-year-old cliff. Marvin Vettori is going to come in, smoke this guy. He's a durable guy. He's already hurting him early. And then Jared Cannonier beat the fucking brakes off of Marvin Vettori until I see somebody come in with my own eyes and beat this guy over 5 rounds. I'm not picking against him. And maybe Nasruddin Imavov is that guy. I'm not betting on Jared Cannonier as of yet. Maybe on the live stream. I'm sure the live stream I will. But until I see somebody win 3 of 5 rounds versus Jared Cannonier at this point, I can't pick against him. So while I respect that Nasruddin Imavov has the tools and capabilities of being that guy to do it, we've also seen other people that probably had the tools and capabilities to do it, and they just don't do it. The guy Jared Cannonier is a durable guy. He knows how to stay within himself. He's a veteran. He's just like, until I see it with my own 2 eyes, I'm not betting against him. I'm not picking against him. I'm going Jared Cannonier to get this done. The veteran savvy, the 40-year-old former heavyweight coming in, withstand the early onslaught. The Imavov's probably going to land in the first 2 rounds and then start taking over slowly but surely, pumping that jab, making Nasruddin work off that back foot. If Nasruddin is moving backwards, Jared's going to take over. Thank you guys so much for watching this. Make sure you like the video, by the way. Subscribe if you are new, and let's all pray that Connor's still going to be on 303. My name is Jacob, a.k.a. the Freckle Salamander, and I'm out. Peace.